Today, we're taking a quick look ahead at the next 2 years' draft classes. Just a quick peek. And the 2027 draft class looks insane. NFL draft talent evaluators are already hyping up the 2027 class as potentially one of the best ever. This is not to overlook next year's draft, which has a lot of top end talent on its own. But considering some of the biggest draft prospects for 2026 could stay in school for another year, that adds even more intrigue and excitement to the insane potential prospects that could be available in 2027. Here are some of the biggest names that are draft eligible over the next 2 years. And there are a ton more. This is just some of the biggest names. 2026 features guys like Arch Manning, Caleb Downs, Keldrick Falk, Caden Proctor, and more. Running back Jeremiah Love and QBs Drew Aller and Nico Imalava could potentially come out in 2026 as well. But then fast forward and 2027 is absolutely loaded. Super freshmen Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, and then other big time talents like DJ Lagway and Jordan Seaton. But there are other guys like Colin Simmons, Dylan Stewart, Cam Coleman, DJ Bolden, and more. These are some of the biggest names to watch, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. But the biggest question mark comes down to some of the big names from 2026. Some of these guys might stay for one more year. And that's what makes the 2027 class potentially one of the greatest of all time. But could it also hurt next year's draft? There are hardly any returning seniors in this year's top prospect list, meaning that most of 2026's draft eligible players could return for 2027. And a couple of players who make a lot of sense are the top QB prospects who people just assume are going to come out in 2026. But I think those people could end up slightly disappointed. The top guy is clearly Arch Manning, who only has two career starts at Texas. He will be a full time starter this fall, but everyone is just assuming he's going to leave school early for the NFL. Recent rumors and the fact that he's a Manning seem to hint that he's a guy who could stay for his senior season. If Arch returns to school next year, not only would that weaken the 2026 class, but it would add another big time prospect to the 2027 crop of potential superstars. But Arch isn't the only one. Nearly all of 2026's top draft eligible players could return to school for their senior seasons, especially with NIL deals on the rise. If a couple of next year's top players return to school and enter the 2027 class, it then has the potential to be one of the best draft classes in NFL history. And that's coming straight from NFL scouts. This is a statement that carries a lot of weight. But when the biggest name in the entire draft class has so much uncertainty around him, paired with the lack of seniors that stayed and the unheard of true freshman phenoms we had last year, and 2027 is shaping up to be something truly special. Of course, a lot can happen between now and then. Some of these prospects will get hurt, and others could struggle over the next 2 years, and maybe a few guys stay for the 2028 draft. But the 2027 class also has a handful of big time talent all over the place. Just looking at the running back position, guys I don't even have listed like Taylor Tatum, Jarrett Gibson, James Peoples, Quentin Martin, and even Jonah Coleman, and more. But it's simply hard to ignore right now that when looking at the upcoming draft classes, it's not next year that stands out. It's 2027 that could end up being truly special. If a couple of big names decide to stick around for their senior season, especially guys like Arch Manning, it'll only further increase the talent in 2027. Now, I don't want people to take me out of context. I'm not saying the 2026 class is bad or anything. It's more about the chance that 2027 ends up being a special draft year. It's actually rare that heading into a college football season where the spotlight is on players who won't be drafted next year. Right now, some of the guys who are talked about most are Jeremiah Smith and Arch Manning. Both of those guys will probably enter the 2027 class. The college landscape changes so much from year to year, and every season there are guys who have meteoric rises up and down draft boards, but rarely, if ever, You go into a season where half of the players you are excited to see are sophomores. The influx of freshman phenoms in 2024 has changed the draft landscape a bit over the next couple of years. Freshman phenoms are taking the nation by storm, and we don't even know who this year's breakout freshman will be. Every year, the draft is filled with young superstars who make immediate impacts in the NFL. The 2026 draft will be no different, but 2027 might be a special year. I'll be here to cover the NFL and college football all season long with a ton of content. Hit that like button for me, and until next time, stay tuned for more.